All right. So, Bill and Kimmy P, welcome to the show. This is the High Performers Podcast. Glad to have you.
Man, we're happy to be here. Excited to be here. Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you. So, we met over the weekend. We were in Salt Lake at a group that we're both involved with. It's called Investment Fund Secrets. And so, you folks are forming an investment fund. You've already formed one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, whenever people are in our line of work and investments and such, I always like to ask, what do you tell people? And you both have to answer individually now. What do you tell people when they ask you, what do you do for a living?
You want to go first? Because that has always been a difficult question, man. I don't think our families even know.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
You know
Kimmy
what?
P.
I think I'm on I like to say that I'm just taking people out for boba and help them retire early.
Very good. You help people retire early. That's a great profession,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How about you, Bill?
Man, what do we do? What do I do for a living? So, you know what? Sometimes it depends on who I'm talking to, just so they have a little bit more understanding. But I don't know, man. In general, I just describe it as a real estate entrepreneur, but I can also throw in there fund manager, cater, real estate investor, educator, and trainer. But so real estate entrepreneur just covers everything. That nice little umbrella that I think is how I generally describe it. But all those different facets, man. Yeah,
And now you two have teamed up and you're doing syndications.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
explain what a syndication is, just really.
I think it's just a fancy word for group investments. And when I really started finding out what it really was, man, syndication is something that we've been doing for quite a while. It really just takes two or more people to pool their money together or pool their resources together, and you basically got a syndication. I mean, so at its core, it's basically just a group investment with a number of people, and we just tend to do it on larger projects, primarily commercial multifamily. We're also now into the self-storage realm, and on most of our deals, we're typically bringing in anywhere from 10 to 15 investors on average per deal. So that's in essence a syndication. I think it's just a fancy word for a group investment.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What parts do you two play? I know in our team, whenever we were putting it together, we have those three parts of an investment fund that always, and this has been a huge key for me. It's a nice little tool to start with: the deal getter, the money getter, and the administrator. And a lot of times those bleed into each other. How do you folks split it up?
Man, so you want to tackle that, Kimmy P, or
I'm gonna maybe simplify much than Bill is. So we have a team that we work with. Each of them focus on their specialty. Bill and I just happen to focus on the capital raising and investor relation.
So that means the deal flow is pretty much taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah. So our fund is five principles. And we're vertically integrated, which means we control all the major impact points that it takes to have a successful operation. So we've got someone who handles and oversees acquisitions. We've got someone who handles and oversees construction and project management. We've got another person who manages the assets. So property management is taken care of. Of course, the bigger that you think, the larger your projects become. You basically need an investor relations and capital raising arm. That's what we tend to focus on. There's one other element also that I think is critical, and it relates to cash flow management and controls. And so, believe it or not, Kimmy P has a little bit of an accounting background. So in a lot of our projects, we play that role of CFO. Yeah. Say that again.
If need to.
When necessary, or at least putting the elements in place so that we can have tight cash flow management and controls, because we see it as so critical. So those are, I think, the way we see it, at least the major components of a successful real estate investing operation. And we definitely play it as a team sport. Okay. So yeah, we're not so great. Yeah, we're not so great at those other things. So,
yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it being a team sport and delegating, trusting, putting it off to other people. So I've heard a lot of conversation around being high. When we get to this high performance level to where we're really working hard and we're working hard together as a team, how do you folks deal with other members of your team? Can you talk about that at all as far as how you manage it?
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
What would you say, man?
It takes a long time for us to get into partnership. We always give a trial period. We run one project. Really, I find that money and deal is always plentiful. Okay. I think the element that
People. The people
surprising
is a challenge.
working with people. Okay. Been in these partnerships that we know for after a while, we realize now I try to rub people the wrong way to begin with.
Hey, that's a great trick. I like that.
There's
I
a tip. There's a tip for you.
So I want to know their tolerance, how they come across, so I tried to rub people the wrong way first. And then build.
And she doesn't have to try that hard.
So I don't know if that answers your question. And so from working trial 1 project, 2 projects, then we understand and find that they're in alignment with us, the work ethics, this and that. Then we maybe work on the next project, get to the point where, okay, now we can partner.
I really like because there's so much focus on setting it up correctly in the first place.
It's never correct because we can't read people. Everybody gonna come across smooth. Everybody gonna sell you something. And honestly, for me, it's don't sell me anything.
She wants to see your ugly side right from the beginning. If there's no adversity, she might throw out some difficult questions or see how you handle adversity. We always ask the failure question. So I think, man, a big part of it is, to set the right foundation and have proper selection right from the beginning, making sure that we're in alignment, we have the same similar standards, similar values, and we're all looking at the same target. And I'm trying to remember, who was the coach that won a Super Bowl and a Rose Bowl? Do you know who I'm talking about? Was it John? I can't remember.
You're asking the wrong guy for that one.
Okay. Anyway, I remember, so he was the first coach to ever have done it. And I remember seeing the interview, and he basically said, they asked him what the key to his success was. And he basically said, selection. Proper selection is because his unique magic was being able to take a downtrodden team and turn it into championship caliber in 3-4 years. And so everyone was fascinated. How the heck do you do that? Selection. Okay. He did it at college level. He did it at the pro level by selecting, of course, the right personnel, the right players. Okay. But also putting in place the right management team and putting the primary focus on selecting the right personnel in the right positions. And so when we heard that, we really started doubling down on this whole process of selection. Kimmy P said earlier is, man, we don't rush into partnerships. We don't rush into key hires, okay? Because we see it as a marriage and we're looking for something that can last for ages, right? And so she likes to see the down and dirty right up front. It's like, how the heck do you handle adversity? Or when you're leveled by a Mack truck, how do you do that? Do you take ownership when things go wrong? We're looking more for those kinds of things, ownership traits, the mindset, right? Do you take ownership of stuff? That doesn't sound like a fast process, but that's why we do multiple interviews. We get to know people. A lot of it is, of course, we talk about track record experience, business experience. Where do you want to go? All that stuff is important, but also how you handle stuff and character traits. We're talking a lot about that. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes it an easy process, but we spend a lot of time on that. Man.
It probably shouldn't be that easy of a process.
Yeah.
So,
Like you said, it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in any relationship, whether it's personal, whether it's business relationship, it's not what you show for, it's but who you really are. Because who you are can rub people the wrong way, or who you are, people can't tolerate your certain behavior. So that's what I'm trying to get. I want to know the ugly side of you so I can see if I can tolerate you for the next whatever years.
That's good.
It comes the same with personal relationship, came the same with business relationship. So the funny was like, if I meet you, it's good to get to know you and you get to sell me, but really just take off the gloss. I don't want to know. I'm going to try to rub it off.
Yeah, that's good.
Her philosophy too is like, she said if she was single and she had to go on one of these dating apps and doing your first date thing, what did you say, Kimmy P? What would be your approach?
I would not show my picture.
And yeah, and would you show them the ugly side right from the beginning?
Maybe.
Or something like that. She said, I don't know if you progress that way, man. That's the problem.
Yeah, but there's a line in The Matrix where they say, I don't remember which one of the movies, but he says, you never know someone until you fought them.
You never know.
So it sounds like
so you jump in the same bed.
Yeah. It sounds like you've really taken that to heart and ingrained it in your business. That's great.
So
How did
anyway,
you two wind up working together? Were you both doing different deals before this?
okay, so the story is I actually live in San Diego. I moved to SAT 2005. Probably in 2006, I got an invitation from Bill to attend his seminar. I go in there, I sat and I listened to it. I'm like, oh, I'm really interested. I'm not ready. Just moved here. I went home, delete all his email, forgot all about it, focused on what I need to do. 4 years later, 4 years
You
later,
didn't have to delete the emails. You could have kept them.
I deleted. You know why? Because you're tempted to want to
Yeah. You didn't want to be
So
tempted,
now
but
I know I'm not going to do it because I just moved. I need to focus on creating cash flow. So I just delete all of them. And then 4 years later, I had an invitation from my broker because I'm a real estate agent, a broker to attend a seminar. I said, oh, I don't know if I want to go or not, but who's the speaker? Guess who it is? Bill.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I listened to it before. Not bad. I'll go again.
not bad.
I went again. And then after the seminar was over, I really want that black book that he was talking about. Okay. So I approached him. I said, hey, I wanted to see if I can meet up with you because I wanted to check out the black book. Okay. But I'm not going to be available for another month. So I'll call you in. Okay. So another month come by. I called him. I left a message 7 days later. I'm like, I don't think he remember who I am. Forget it.
And I don't remember the black book.
And then that's when we reconnected. Okay. So it's been 4 years after our initial meeting. So I don't know.
So I
It's
guess here it
it's
is
like a
12
Harry
years
met
later.
Sally business story.
I don't remember the storyline, but maybe.
And then we start talking and then we start doing deals and I moved back to San Diego, but we kept the business relationship. And so I think maybe in 2013, 14, we become partner because all our real estate is together now.
And so you've moved into multifamily. Like you said, we're doing multifamily and storage syndications.
Yeah.
That means
Yeah,
not only are you organizing a team of workers that are working on it, you're now organizing other people that are your co-investors with you.
I start out as a sales agent. I know Bill is also a broker, but he's actually doing single family. That's what he did. And eventually I was like, oh my gosh, how come these things, single family takes so long to build up? Maybe we just look at multifamily. And so that's when we start diving into multifamily. Then we realized, oh my gosh, we have to do everything from A to Z. I don't know if I can do that. So we're looking for partners and a progression over time. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
And now we have a team.
Now we have a team. So you have a team that's bringing in the deals and a team bringing in investors?
We are actually, Bill and I work on investor relation. Everybody is pitching in, but we primary job is investor relation and capital raising. We have somebody that do the underwriting, somebody do asset management and construction management.
Yeah.
Very good. How many people would you say are on the team total?
4 people.
Five principals, but as far as that extends, construction crews, we have a couple people helping out with acquisitions, and then of course the property management is this whole living, breathing entity as well. That's multiplied manyfold when you see the extension to manage this, all the different projects that we're involved in. But the core principles in the fund is the 5. Yeah.
Good. So let's talk about one of the deals. Are y'all formed as a 506B or?
Both, man. We've done both. I think I would say the majority of them have been 506Bs, but we're in the process of launching 506C right now as well. And we've done a few other 506Cs. So we can talk about either one, man, wherever you want to go with that.
Let's talk about one of the Cs since you can actually talk about the specifics and the numbers. Do you have any that we can talk about that you're currently working on?
We're in the process of so which one do you want to talk about? Pluck one out there that we can talk about.
I don't know if we have any.
Let's back up and ask that. How many projects are you working on right now that are either in escrow, you have a letter of intent out, or you're working on, they're in the acquisition process? How many are those?
We can talk about the 506B one that we have going on right now, but we're doing a little bit of a twist on it also. So this first fund that we're rolling out with it was really in response to a little bit of the uncertainty and the chaos and the volatility that's going on in the market. And basically our clients coming to us and clamoring for something that gives them a little bit more peace of mind. Is there still a way where we can earn healthy returns, double-digit returns, in such a volatile environment. And so this was our response to it. Okay, now here's the twist that we're doing though. Okay, so it's both going to be, so right now we've got an existing fund in place. It's a 506B. It's a preferred equity fund, which is a little bit different than a normal syndication in that you basically mitigating risk in a couple different ways. Number one, by being very specific in our property selection on the types of properties that we're looking to invest in with this fund, newer properties, newer areas, cash flowing from day one, no heavy lifting involved, and only in specific areas where there's positive job growth, population growth, and in migration. Okay, so we're very selective on that. Sunbelt states, many of those qualify for that. But also, it's a preferred equity fund, which means they sit closer to the front of the line when it's time to get paid. They come right after the bank. So those are some of the things that we're doing to layer on ways to mitigate risk, but yet still deliver healthy double-digit returns. Because, man, we took a look at our entire portfolio over the last 2+ decades. This type of property, regardless, and it's been through multiple cycles, have been the top performers. Okay, and because of the funkiness of the economy right now, the number of boxes that we have to check off now have doubled and tripled. Okay, and these are the types of properties that fit the mold, fit the criteria, and that we think are recession resistant. But anyway, anything you want to add to that, Kimmy P? Did I miss anything?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you got it. You got it covered.
Yeah.
So let's move it back into high performance a little bit. So I call this the High Performers Podcast. I want to ask you, what does that mean to you? What do those two words mean to you? What does high performance mean to you?
Kimmy P, you're a high performer. You take a crack. You take a crack at it.
I don't know. I don't know if I know the definition, but to me, in order to be very productive, okay, we have to be in a certain mindset, right mindset, because we have to make a lot of decisions, a lot of adversity comes. We have to be calm, collective in making decisions. In addition to, that's just our mental self, right? But in addition to that, we have to be able to deal with other people. Okay. And you have a team, you have to know how to manage, how to delegate. So high performance means, to me, it's like you got to have an array of all those things in you in order for you to, for me to be considered a high performance. That's how I define it.
When you use that term, I know you're the high performance man. When it comes to high performance, right? You got a newsletter about it. It's your podcast. But when I hear that term, man, it's like, it encompasses so dang much, man. But the way I see it, I think Tony Robbins has a quote I first heard it from: 80% of success is psychology, 20% is mechanics. Okay. I know a lot of us don't want to hear that because sometimes we think that in order to succeed at something, we just need that little bit of knowledge, that little bit of information. Give me the how-to. And it's a little bit harder work though to flip that and to start thinking that, oh man, if you just, the answer in almost every case is the psychology of you, psychology of the leader. Okay. And so it's everything. In order to have to be a high performer, you got to have clarity. You got to have focus. You got to have drive. Okay. You got to have high energy. And here's another thing that I noticed. And you got to have some of the tools and resources and daily rituals that you talk about in order to be in a position where you can execute on stuff. Okay. What's I going to say about that? Oh, the big difference that I see between successful and not so successful is successful people do the things that they know are necessary, even when they don't feel like it. Even when they don't feel like it. But it has to start with laser-like clarity, laser-like focus, knowing where the heck you're going, being true to your standards, your values, the direction you want to go out. So you can't be seduced by shiny whistles, because there's a lot of distraction out there that can take you off course. So dang easy. Okay. But so it starts with that, but then in order to execute it, you got to have some of these daily rituals that, like what you're talking about. I don't get up at 4 a.m. like you do, Alex, but I am regular at a set time. And I do go through a little bit of a morning ritual. I call it like, what do we call it, KBP? It's almost like putting on your armor, where you're going through a daily ritual. I go through meditation. a visualization, a prayer. I'll do some calisthenics, and it's all encompassed in that 1 hour. And I call it, it's like putting on your armor for the day, because you're gonna get rocks thrown at you, man. That's life. Life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. So you might as well start off with putting on that shield where you're ready to tackle the world. So anyway, man, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question, man.
No, it's good. It does.
Yeah.
It does answer the question.
Yeah.
So how can people reach out and get in touch with y'all? Because we've been talking about your investments a little bit, and plenty of people who watch this show, they have money and they want to invest in things. How do they reach out and get in touch with you?
Man, okay. I would say a couple different ways. Number one, I want to offer our podcast as a way to, I don't know, maybe understand a little bit about our philosophy and the way we think about investing. I think that's a good way to learn a little bit more about us. www.gimmesomemore.info. Gimme is spelled G-I-E, somemore.info. And then if you're interested in our investments, we have Go Dream Vest. Go Dream Vest. That's a made up word. It's not in the dictionary. It's dream and then vest, VEST.com. If you want to find out a little bit more about our investments. So anyway, anything else you want to throw in there, Kim?
Those are good ways to get us to reach out to us.
Yeah. So cool, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to finish it up just yet, but I wanted to make sure people knew that I didn't forget that one. I sometimes forget it.
Oh, awesome, man.
So I do have a final question though. And so I want you each to answer on your own. And so let's imagine that this is the last time that anybody's ever going to hear from you. This is after this, you're going to be gone, and this is your last chance. And this message winds up going out to the entire world. Kimmy P, what is your message to the world?
Oh, God. Okay.
Wow.
Only a little bit, only a little ask, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Your message to the world, your last
Message
message
to the
ever.
world. Oh my God. I don't know.
Holy man.
Okay. So what I want to say is, I don't know what I want to say. Okay. Bill, you want to go ahead and let me put some thoughts to it?
No. I'll take a crack at it, and then I might have to take another crack, okay? Because that is not a light question, man. And I think I can go a lot of different directions with that. But I would say this in this context, one of my all-time favorite quotes, and I think it's a lot of what we stand for in our podcasts and in the consultations that we have with people and just in my daily conversations. But one of my favorite quotes is, it's not your resources that determine your success, it's your resourcefulness. I also think that's a Tony Robbins quote. And we try to encompass that. And you know why I love that so much, man? It epitomizes the true entrepreneurial spirit. Okay. If you embrace that and understand that, man, it doesn't matter where you're at. Okay. It doesn't matter what your financial circumstances are. It doesn't matter all the stuff that you've been through. Okay. You could have been leveled by a Mack truck yesterday, but you can pick yourself back up. And as long as you're resourceful and you focus on where you want to go, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So I think that's part of I think what I want to say, but I'll let Kimmy P go, and then I might have a follow-up to that.
Okay. So I guess what I want to share is our life is really what we make out of it. Okay. If we want to be happy, we show happiness. We want others to care for us. We need to care for others. So for me, it's like our success is really depend on us. Our happiness is dependent on us. Nobody's going to give it to us. It's not free. Okay. If you get it for free, somebody else did it. You just happen to inherit it. Okay. So I'm just saying that if you want something, hustle, go get it, because it's not free. Nobody give it to you. Nobody owe it to you. So success is possible. I don't know. I don't know if I say this to rub people the wrong way. We take accountability for our own actions. We do things. We manage ourselves. But when we do it, we feel good about it. You know what I'm saying? We don't depend on anybody else's. We're not hoping. We pray, but we need to walk, not pray and sit there and hoping something land on our lap. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
that's what I want to say. I don't know how you can summarize it to make it sound better.
I like it.
Can I add
Let's
one more
talk-
thing?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
No, please go.
Okay, I just want to say this also, okay? Because these are you painted as last words, okay? Trust the process. Trust the process and believe and have faith that you are guided, that you're heading to a direction, no matter how it looks. Because is this how it usually works out? Is we all look back sometimes at a devastating circumstance or occurrence or something, that I call it, someone called it, when you're leveled by a Mack truck, right? And it's like in that moment, of course, it's not feeling good. And you're thinking, God, why me? Why is this happening to me? But when we look back at our lives and we try and look at defining moments, wasn't it usually those periods of adversity that was the catalyst for something to evolve and become greater? And and I'm challenging you, man, look back on every adversity like that. Something usually good has come out of it. And that's what I mean, is everything happens for a reason. Okay? And if we believe that we're guided and we have faith, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, whatever, and that there's this invisible hand guiding us. Okay, sometimes we have to go through these periods of adversity, this leveling of a Mack truck, because that's what allows us to grow. We just have to have trust in that. And I know that's a hard thing, but man, just all you have to do is look back at your own history. And I think it's proof right there. So anyway, I think that's what I would say.
I love it. I think we can all agree that trusting the process, being able to trust the process, that's really brings it all together. And that's a really great place to wrap it and to leave people with that thought, to go ahead and trust the process. You've already begun the process, and we know that because you're here. We know that because you're listening to this. You wouldn't even be listening to this if you weren't on some sort of a journey. So since you're on that journey, trust the process, keep going on the journey. Don't stop. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you're going to reach the end. So that's for me, Alex Alexander, Kimmy P. and Bill. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate y'all. From the High Performers Podcast, I'm saying bye-bye.